Once again, welcome back to the program. ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਮਾਈਕ ਜੌਂਗ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ ਦੇ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਵੀ ਹਨ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਚੈਲੰਜਸ ਇਹ ਕੰਪੇਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਜੇਕਰ ਮੁੜ ਤੋਂ ਇਹ ਰੀਇਲੈਕਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਮਸਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਣਗੇ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ।
Harpreet, sat sri akal. Great to be here.
Thank you. So Mike, everybody knows you. You have been much in the news in varied positions. Now with the campaigning is when it's going on, what kind of issues are coming forward when you do knocking?
Pretty much what I expected. A lot of people interested in the economy, job creation, future prospects, fiscal responsibility, ensuring that government is balancing their budget and dealing responsibly with their money, because of course all the money finance ministers deal with come from taxpayers.
That's right. And when you talk about the balanced budgets, and opposition is claiming that no, it's not a balanced budget and it is the people are not being told the truth. What do you have to say about that?
What I am detecting now from the people is an appreciation of the fact that if you're an opposition like the NDP who have no interest in balancing the budget, the first thing you need to do is try to denigrate and dismiss the efforts of those who do believe balancing the budget is important. And I said this to one of my colleagues from the NDP. I understand that you're not interested in balancing the budget. That's an approach, that's an idea that you have. I don't agree with that. I don't think the majority of British Columbians agree, but then just be honest and say that. Say, look, the BC Liberals are very interested in balancing the budget. We disagree with them. We don't think it's important as New Democrats. Of course, Mr. Dix doesn't want to say that because he, I think at the end of the day, understands that for the majority of British Columbians who sit around their kitchen table, they have to live within their means, and government should live within its means.
Right. And your party is focusing on the economy, and you are claiming that if your government is elected again, and that will be the major focus, more jobs, more prosperity. And during the past time when you have been in the government, if you can just bring up the major highlights of your particular government.
Well, look at how British Columbia has performed as compared to other jurisdictions. The world has been through a very, very difficult time.
Right.
And there are parts of the world that continue to struggle, and that has an impact on North America, on Canada, and British Columbia. We sell a lot of products worldwide. And yet, we have continued to grow our economy. We have managed to balance our budget. We've managed to provide services. We've managed to attract investment in ways that other jurisdictions have not. And I ask people, compare where we are today and how British Columbia is performing to what happened in the 1990s, because there's another group, and democracy is about choices. There's another group who is vying for support who would approach things very differently. In my view, that approach didn't work very well. And I think more and more British Columbians are waking up to the fact that in the choice between a free enterprise government and the approach we take to growing the economy and creating jobs versus the NDP, our approach on balance has tended to work a lot better.
And also, and when you talk about the 1990s, the NDP claims that there's a misrepresentation of facts by the Liberals when you point out to the 90s. And they say, no, if you see the record of the past 12 years, we created more jobs and we created more prosperity in this province as compared to the Liberals.
Well, I think they're embarrassed. It's the only time in the history of our province that British Columbia officially became a have-not province, meaning other provinces were obliged to support us.
Right.
I don't want to have to rely on support from other provinces. I don't want to be a have-not province. We are blessed with a wealth of resources, a wealth of talent. For an NDP government to drive British Columbia into have-not status requires a special level of incompetence.
Right.
And I understand they're embarrassed about it, and they should be. And I don't want us to go back there. As I said the other day, the 1990s for me represents a bad movie, and a terrible movie, a bad movie. And the only thing worse than going to see a bad movie is being tricked to go and see a bad sequel to that movie. And I don't want that to happen.
Okay. We have found that your party put in a lot of dollars into the health segment, health sector. But despite that, do you think that the kind of improvements which should have been there, do you see those or no?
A lot of improvements, and certainly a lot of improved facilities, whether it's the Jim Pattison Center in Surrey, the new Surrey Memorial Tower, the Abbotsford Hospital, the plans that are underway for Royal Columbian, for St. Paul, investments right across the province. Training twice as many doctors, training so many more nurses. We've invested strategically to make sure that the people are here that we need and that the facilities are here that we need. Having said all that, we cannot continue to simply grow the healthcare budget at the rate that it has been, which is why in the budget I tabled, we begin to reduce it's still growing by $2.4 billion over the next 3 years, but it can't continue to grow at the rates that it has, which is why preventative healthcare is so important.
Coming back to your riding, if you can let us know the little composition about your riding, and what we know is there are a lot of South Asians in that, and especially the Punjabis, and you have been off and on going to India, and especially in Punjab. So what kind of relationship you have with the South Asians, and what are they demanding from you?
It's been a great delight of my nearly 20 years as MLA to be able to work with the entire community in Abbotsford. Started off as Matsui, Abbotsford West, Abbotsford Mount Lehman, now Abbotsford West. With the South Asian community, that has been a great delight to learn, to have the opportunity to visit, to understand. I was with a group last night, and the people were there from Bathinda and Moga and Amritsar and Jalandhar and Ludhiana and Chandigarh. I mean, all the Paliwal and Phagwara. I mean, they were all there. And to be able to have a conversation and know those places is very special to me.
Right.
The South Asian community, special interest in seniors issues, a senior center, cultural center. So those are the kinds of projects going forward if they decide to rehire me. I always say elections are about hiring someone. The boss is the people, and the worker is the politician. If the bosses decide to rehire me, then those are some of the things I'll be working on.
That's interesting. We'll go for a small break, come back and continue with the discussion. Once again, welcome back to the program. आज दे segment ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਮਾਈਕ ਡੇ ਯੋਂਗ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਹਨ, ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਾਈਡਿੰਗਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਹੈ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨਸ ਨਾਲ, ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ, ਆਓ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ. So before the break, like you mentioned, you named the districts like as any Punjabi would mention. So you had a very good, or are having a good relationship with the South Asians especially, and you have been to Punjab also a number of times. So a lot of initiatives were being taken by your government to start some kind of trade pact with Punjab, and also if I recall, you were planning to talk also about a direct air service. So you worked quite a lot on that. What happened? Why didn't it materialize?
Well, two things that derive from your question. First of all, yes, it's been an area of passion for me. I was the forest minister when we began work with China, and in those days people said, oh no, you can't work with China, they're never going to buy our wood, they don't build with wood. Today China is our biggest customer.
Right.
Now, it happened because we worked in partnership with industry and others. We spent some money, taxpayers' money. But in business, you always have to stay ahead. And even as we were developing those linkages in China, I said, what's next? Who's next?
Right.
India. We've got this strong cultural existence link with India, particularly Punjab. And now we have to transform that into an equally powerful economic relationship. And we haven't done very well. We haven't done, as a country, we haven't done as well as we should.
Right.
And so much of my efforts have been about jump-starting that. So creating offices in Chandigarh. We're the only province now with a presence, a formal presence in Chandigarh, Mumbai, Bangalore, and working with the Canadian government because our brand is Canada. We're from British Columbia, but our brand is Canada. The flight struck me as a logical thing because particularly from October to March, well, people going back and forth to Punjab, the dilemma, and we came very close. I had a company that was about to begin. I don't have any airplanes. And if I did, I don't know how to fly them. So what I require, what we require, is a company that is prepared to make the investment, and the airlines these days, sadly, are pretty risk averse. It's a new route. I'm convinced, I am convinced that this would be a profitable venture. I remember speaking with Dr. Malia of Kingfisher fame, the king of good times, right? I said, well, you're going to have a good time flying back and forth to, he's not flying at all right now. So we're Jet Airways, Air Transat, Air India for that matter. But we've got to push that across the finish line, and haven't been able to do it yet, but I'm not going to stop trying.
Mike, what do you consider your main achievements as an MLA representing your constituency?
Well, when I ran for the first time 20 years ago, I said, we're going to get a new hospital. Need a new hospital. We have a new hospital. We need some transportation infrastructure, new overpasses at Mount Lehman and Clearbrook Road and McCallum Road. We have those. Later, it became establishing a university. We have a university now. We have a campus of care for hospice, for Canuck Place, for Holmberg House, for Matthews House. We have a trail network, healthcare, preventative healthcare, exercise, getting people active. These are all an airport that is now in a position to accommodate flights back and forth to Punjab, Chandigarh, Amritsar. We have to get the flights, but the airport has received the funding and the upgrades necessary to do that. So we go through the list, and the other thing, Harpreet, I always say to people, no one does this alone. And I'm flattered people say thank you, but we do it by working together, establishing priorities, and then pushing them across the finish line, and we've had great success, and I'm proud. I'm proud of what we've accomplished in Abbotsford. I'm proud of what we've accomplished in British Columbia.
If you are again elected and you form your government, anything major, what will be in focus which you have not accomplished in the past?
Well, and I think we're talking now about locally in Abbotsford. Two things really that come immediately to mind. I think we have some work to do establishing intercity transit linkages. We have a university with campuses in Abbotsford, Mission, Chilliwack. It's tough to get from Abbotsford to Chilliwack. People in Metro Vancouver find that hard to believe because you have SkyTrain, buses. So that's an area that requires, I think, some additional work. And I've already mentioned the notion of a culturally based senior center that I think makes sense, that has a housing component as well. So there's two things that I'd be working on.
Okay. And also towards the end, why should your bosses again rehire you? That is, the public, as you mentioned, is the boss, and they have the right to hire or fire. So what do you say?
I hope they'll look at my record. I hope they'll consider whether or not I've been a hard-working and effective employee of theirs. I've tried my best. I haven't been perfect. I have not been perfect. But I hope they'll conclude that I have given it my best, that I have accomplished some things by working with them. And I hope that they'll also take into account my belief in the need for fiscal prudence and a free enterprise approach to government. It's an important choice, and I should say on the show today, I've enjoyed the campaign with the other candidates, some of whom are running for the first time, and I think that's great. I mean, democracy is a participation sport, and I've enjoyed the experience of campaigning and debating them.
It was a pleasure having you. Thank you, and best wishes for May the 14th.
Great to be on the program.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Harpreet.
ਅੱਜ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ, ਮਾਈਕ ਯੋਂਗ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਪਰਸਨਲ ਜੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਅਚੀਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਕਿਉਂ ਚੁਣੀ ਜਾਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਹੁਣ ਫਤਵਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ ਕਿ 14 ਮਈ ਨੂੰ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਉਣ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕਿਸ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਕਰੇ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਪਰਾਲੇ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਈਏ। ਆਸ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਇਨਸਾਈਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਪਤਾ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਇੰਪਾਰਡ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਲੈਣ ਵਿੱਚ।